What's up, guys? Steel Frodo here. Welcome to Day 8's video, coming out on Day 9, and Day 9's not coming out on Day 9, it's coming out on Day 10 alongside Day 10. It's still just as confusing as it was in the last video, so I'm just going to skip that. So let's talk. Oh man, a time travel murder mystery. You cannot go wrong with Erased. I gotta say, wow. This is one of those shows that had me hooked from the start. So getting right into it, this story follows a man named Satoru Fujinuma, and he's an aspiring manga writer working as a pizza delivery boy, but he has this strange ability that lets him involuntarily travel back in time, usually by about a few minutes, to either see or fix something that he missed the first time around. So after they establish that this is something that he can just kind of do, I'm hooked. I'm already way into time travel. When it comes to anime, I love Steins Gate. When it comes to other television shows or anything else, it's like Doctor Who or Back to the Future and that kind of stuff. But the plot really takes an interesting turn when, instead of, like he normally does, going back a few minutes to try to fix something or experience something again, he ends up being sent 18 years into the past to save a young girl in his elementary school class named Kayo. The cool thing about this murder mystery is that the story kept me guessing almost the entire way up to the end when they finally revealed who the murderer was. And I'm not going to do that because I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be the dick and spoil it for you. But I gotta say, when you watch this, you'll be on the edge of your seat for most of the series. And that actually ties really well into the way the show builds tension. It's so good at making you sit at the edge of your seat and wait for what's happening next. And then it hits you with a cliffhanger. And this show is a cliffhanging nightmare. Every single time the tension really starts to build and you are so worried about what's going to happen and you're invested in the episode, it ends. And it just... However, it is also likely that you may not do that for one reason only, and that's the ending song, which is oddly calming. Speaking of the ending song, I have a question for you guys. If I were to ask you right now to recall the opening and ending song of a show that you really enjoyed, would you be able to do it? And if you were able to do it, would you actually say that you enjoyed both the opening and the ending equally? Now, I'll admit, maybe it's just because I haven't seen enough anime yet, but this is probably the only show I've seen where both the opening and endings are, in my mind, on the same level. They are both equally amazing, and I love both of them. It's kind of weird, but these reviews are kind of just me talking about what really stood out to me, and those two, the opening and the ending, definitely stood out to me. Anyway, back on track. So I know I started giving a plot summary earlier, but I really don't want to say much about the plot. The reason being is because this is one of those shows where you really need to get into it without knowing what you're getting into. And I honestly kind of feel like telling you what Satoru ended up going back in time to do may have even been too much, but it's a little late now. Point is, you should probably go watch the show if you really want to know what you're in for, because I'm not going to tell you. One last thing. The tones that this show conveys, the suspense, the confusion, and the feelings that each of the characters has for one another, which of course you then portray yourself by having feelings for the characters, it's really well done. The show makes you feel for each of the characters. It confuses you just as much as our main protagonist is confused, and you're just as tense and worried when the other characters are tense and worried. It's incredibly well written, and it's a show that ranks extremely highly in my books. Okay, so I know this review probably raised more questions than answers when it comes to this show, but that's kind of what I'm aiming for. The idea is that I want you to go watch this show if you haven't already and find the answers to the questions that this review raised on your own. So that way when you find them, you can feel just as awesome and just as excited as I did. So if you haven't seen it already, I keep saying this with each show, but I really mean it with this one if you haven't seen it. It's a phenomenal murder mystery show. You need to go watch it if you haven't. So there you go, guys. Day 8 happening on day 9, leaving room for day 9 and 10 to happen on day 10. It's confusing, but it'll make sense when we're all caught up when we get to Christmas. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to be there and have a good one.